right. Hello, health coaching class. Dr. Wagner and Courtney here. Starting our first, let me make the transcript go away. I can't stand that. There we go. Our first live discussion. And just as a reminder, you're welcome at any of these live discussions to show up and either talk actively like Courtney is going to today, or just to passively be in the background like you would in any other normal class where you don't have to talk every time there's a question. And then I am recording the discussion such that those of you who aren't here for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter, can listen to our conversation. It's recorded visually, but we're not always that interesting to look at. And then answer two innocuous questions that are just designed to see if you participated before I just hand over the points. So. Well, Courtney, the room is all yours since you're my only friend this morning. Do you want to just tell me a little bit about, I was going through some of the name catchers today, but at least what your major is and what brought you to the course perhaps, or where you are in your Kent State journey?
So my name is Courtney Harpster. I am a transfer from Lakeland. I was in the nursing program there and I had to transfer to Kent. So I am in the nursing program. I will start
Great.
in the fall.
Awesome. Welcome.
So this class, I'm interested with the public health and I am
Mhm.
considering it as a minor. And when I talked to the nursing director, she really did bring up this class and how good of a class it was and
Oh,
thought it
nice.
would be a good idea. And so far, I really do like it. I do.
Great. Yeah, thanks. It's actually a health ed class, which is not quite public health. We're in education, health, and human services, but same. A lot of our
Mhm.
majors, the community health majors and the health education majors are in our college. But yeah, I agree. I'm totally biased, obviously. But I do think this is a great class just to be a human, frankly. It helps us be a
Mhm.
better partner or friend or family member or citizen because a lot of the skills are just about how to communicate with people about their struggles, essentially, or the things they maybe want to do better without overly asserting ourselves, which is a little bit different from the medical model, though I always kind of put nurses and doctors a little separately.
Mhm.
So, well, that's cool. So what kind of nursing do you want to do ultimately, or is that too early of a question?
I've always considered pediatric nursing, but I work in the ICU at my hospital, and I think now, like going through nursing, even just being in first semester, I've grown to like being in the adult ICU. So I think I'm going to start out with adult ICU.
Right. Great. So those patients are obviously a totally different situation,
Mhm.
but all right. So what are your thoughts then on the conversation for today, which is, how do we talk about health? Like, what do we mean when we're talking about trying to help people be healthy? Do you have any? I don't mean to totally put you on the spot, but
No, you're good. I think overall health, people really try to think too much about it, but really it's pretty simple. It's your overall well-being. It's, how you take care of yourself, things you do in your daily life, your daily activities, how do you keep yourself going? And, everyone wants to think of it as, oh, it's just your health of, do you have any underlying conditions or anything like that.
Mhm.
But overall, it is just how you are as a person and how you get through everyday life.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, I do think we're all a little bit addicted to the medical model of the definition of
Mhm.
health, right? And there's where I think, even though it's really old, I find the additions to the World Health Organization's definition, right? A state of complete bothers me a little bit, but the end of
Mhm.
that definition, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, right? So I might not be having a heart attack right now, but that doesn't mean my cardiovascular system is healthy, right?
Mhm.
I might not be having a breakdown or struggling with my mental health, or I might be, let's be honest. But again, that doesn't mean that I'm healthy. And I put that in air quotes because, again, in health education, as health education specialists, well, I will speak for myself. I am a little anti-medical model, right?
Mhm.
All due respect to the medical community, which is very important, and I appreciate that they're there. However, I think when we start looking at if we have to diagnose things, then yeah, we can tend to sometimes get caught up in, well, there's nothing I can diagnose you with, so you're fine, right?
Mhm.
And not necessarily. I don't even know. I shouldn't say because I can't cite I like music. And so that song, I'm not sick, but I'm not well.
Mhm.
I love
Yep.
that. Right? Maybe because I identify with it a little bit too much, but yeah. And how do you feel coming out of nursing with maybe a more concrete understanding of the abstract nature of health then, right? If there's no like one right way to be healthy, how do we help people then sort of conceptualize their health in the absence of that?
Mhm.
Pardon
Just
me.
like you said before, it doesn't have to all be medical. Um, from seeing, the medical side of it though, just from working, um, I mean, you see patients at their, lowest,
Yeah.
or going through their lowest point with their health, and really you just try to encourage them different ways to change your health around. It doesn't have to necessarily be the same as,
Mhm.
another patient down the hall or, what you're doing at home. It's, what can help them and benefit them to get them out of the point that they're in right now.
Sure. Yeah, and it also doesn't have to be perfect, right?
Hmm.
I always have a lot of people around me who are like, well, I tried this, but yeah, it didn't work, so never mind.
Yep.
And it's like, well, it doesn't have to be. I actually accidentally turned my Wi-Fi off instead of my cell phone volume. Okay, there we go. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Our diets
Mhm.
don't have to be perfect. Just to have and people will say, well, I'm a clean eater. And it's like, all right, well, a donut every now and then is not going to kill anybody,
Mhm.
right? Or whatever I don't know why I went to donut, but it
It's
says
baby
more about me
steps.
than anyone else. Yeah. Where people will say, okay, I'm going to quit this, I'm going to quit nicotine. I'm going to give up sugar. I mean, it's like, whoa, all at once,
Hmm.
there's a reason. If you think about, habit and routine and health behavior in general, there are reasons why humans behave the way we do. And it's
Hmm.
not always as easy to just flip that switch. And so, yeah, so I appreciate the more holistic, the more, well, yeah, just holistic version of, how are we living? How are we feeling? Are we happy? Are we safe? Do we feel, and I guess I should say, do we feel happy? Do we feel safe? Because feeling safe and being safe are two different things. Do we feel like we have a purpose or that there's a reason for the different things that we're engaging in, and do they fit into our wider picture, right?
Hmm.
So not only the basics, like can we complete our daily activities of living, but are we doing more than just getting by, right? Because I feel like
Hmm.
these last 2 years, I know for a minute there I was in just a like holding panel
Yeah.
pattern, and I'm like, well, the good news is if I just keep breathing, the clock keeps moving, and eventually this whatever minute or hour or day or week or month or year will be over. Right? And
Yep.
in my opinion, it can always get worse, but it could also certainly get better.
Correct.
So
Correct.
yeah, great. Well, and I always think it's interesting when we hear from like the general public, right? So going into
Hmm.
COVID and then trying to, I guess we're technically maybe coming out of it hopefully now, but people are like, yeah, I never occurred to me how much I needed to, and then fill it in, have friends,
Hmm.
go to movies, talk to people. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, well, I guess I'm glad this happened then. I mean, I'm looking
Yes.
for silver linings. If I had a time machine, I would go back and try to prevent it. But if we're going to take away, then wow, these things we maybe took for granted or didn't appreciate or didn't realize how important they were to our overall well-being, now hopefully we can get those
Hmm.
back. The downside of that, however, is we're seeing all these people who were essentially traumatized, like the first responders, the nurses, the medical community, law enforcement, all of these people that have struggled, the teachers working in K-12, the parents who were teaching their kids from home,
Yep.
which I'm sorry, I'm a little schadenfreude about that because they're like, teachers need to be doing better, schools need to be doing better. And it's like, here you go, we're going to send your kids home for a year. See
Yep.
how you appreciate their teachers now,
Yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
which is me just being straight up rude. But in any case, I also think it's important to think about that when we're working with clients or people, right? Is to help
Mhm.
encourage. Sometimes I do get students, and I won't call out their majors just yet, but they come to a course like this and they expect more concrete and rigid boundaries around, well,
Mhm.
no, that is not a healthy diet. That is not a healthy sexuality. That is not a healthy whatever. But it's like, who says, right? And
Correct.
there's certain, like, you can overdose on water and it'll kill
Absolutely.
you. People are like, that's organic or that's natural. I'm like, so's opium. It
Yep.
doesn't make it good for us, right? And sometimes the organic and natural things are actually really bad for us, depending on what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
And so that kind of like, it depends, is not just a wishy-washy response, but it's actually just the truth,
Mhm.
right? And I think as I've aged, I also see how things sort of sway, back and forth. And so it's like, eggs are healthy, eggs are not healthy, right? And it's always changing. So there again, as health education specialists, if we just try to help folks figure out how to critically think through information, resources, supports, things of that nature, then we prepare them a little bit better to think about on their own. Might this be a healthy choice? Might this be an okay choice? Does it fit in with your, if it's impossible for you to do, is that really healthy for you then? If you have to
Mhm.
work that hard at it, maybe it's more about acceptance of, wherever you are. So
Yes.
that's where I like the some of the other definitions. A resource for life, not the reason of living, which I'm
Mhm.
butchering that definition. But thinking about it, our health and well-being as a tool to help us actualize the rest of our life, and not just the thing we get. That's that World Health Organization definition. That bother a state of complete social, mental, emotion. When are we ever completely anything, you know,
Yes.
yet
Yeah.
alone healthy? And it makes it sound like you get your stamp, like you were healthy 6 months ago. And it's like, well, I might have been healthy at 6 o'clock this morning, but not doing so great right now,
Yes.
you know? And there again, especially because we don't still, at least in my professional opinion, regard prevention in the way we really need to,
Mhm.
such that we could, at my age, approaching 50, it's like, well, the number of body intrusion exams on a preventative standpoint is now a two hands list,
Yeah.
right? It's like, all
Yes.
right, so you got to get the pap, the mammogram, the colonoscopy, the dermatology check, wait, I missed one. Oh, the mammogram. Did I say that one? So
Yep.
there's five right there. And then the eye doctor, the regular, right? And it's like, well, we didn't test your blood or your cholesterol level, your sugar level. And it's like, whew, feels like a full-time job. But at the same time, colon cancer is my favorite example. I would take a colonoscopy over a stage 3 or 4 colon cancer diagnosis
Yeah.
like any day, and
Yes.
as female bodied people, our colon cancer often doesn't exhibit symptoms until we're in stage 4. I had a doctor one time say to me, I didn't need her to, but she's like, and there's no stage 5. I was like, okay, thanks, lady. Right.
Yep.
But I have friends that are like, going through that process. And I'm like, well, you can sit on the restroom for a little bit to clean out your intestines so it's not gross for the tech who's doing the
Yep.
explore. And then when they find those polyps, they're really saving your life. And cancer or not, you got to eat. And so
Yeah.
it becomes really problematic. And to me, that's just a low hanging fruit one. So, anyways. Well, so what are some of because you're in the ICU, which is a pretty scary place generally. I used to say, like, oh, I hate the ER. And it's like, well, you think the ER is bad. Wait till you're in the NICU or the ICU. That can be even more tragic. So
Mhm.
how do you see that definition expanding with people who are in such a critical space?
So, like with the critical space, obviously you see patients at their lowest. So your main goal is to get your patient from that low point to an even better point. It doesn't have to necessarily be the best or, make them, go from 0 to 100 and feel completely better. You have to work at it and stick with it and encourage the patient themselves because, when they're sick themselves, they aren't themselves. They're down on their self. They, think negative. You really have to, just be positive with them, be honest with them, and try to get them at a better point than what they're at right now, which is, their lowest. Obviously, that's why they're in the ICU.
Yeah.
Um,
What
you
about
know,
their families and friends, the people that are coming to visit them? I know as nurses, again, tend to have that more holistic.
Mhm.
Is there support or work that can be done with those folks
Yes,
about a
we
broader,
work with
like your
patients.
loved one is in the ICU, they might be having all of these issues, but there are still, it doesn't mean we shouldn't also focus on these other elements, right?
Mhm.
I mean, granted, they don't
We
need
really try and
sunscreen,
encourage,
but there are
yes,
others. Yeah,
we encourage family to be part of the healing process. Um, you know, when you sit down and talk to the patient, you want to talk to the patient and their family member, someone they can trust and someone that's going to help them to get them out of that point as well.
great. Well, yeah, because again, that physical health is generally the reason they're there,
Mhm.
right? But that doesn't mean that their emotional health, their spiritual health, their mental health, all of their other health elements still need
Correct. It
supported.
all ties in together.
Like, absolutely, absolutely. All right. Well, that's our time. Courtney, thanks so much. I just felt more podcasty. My special guest, Courtney, thank you for showing up today.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time and letting me put you on the spot a little bit since you're the only one
Excellent.
here. But for everyone else, I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording. It takes a little bit for the video to process so I can make it available, but I'll go in as soon as I'm done here, give Courtney her points, and unassign this live discussion from everyone else. And then I'll assign the discussion questions to everybody but Courtney. And then the rest of y'all can enjoy our very entertaining video, right, Courtney? We were great.
Yes.
And then just answer the questions to earn your points. And then, of course, I encourage you all or whomever wants to join us. Our next discussion is next Tuesday, the 21st, which is the first day of summer, though it's supposed to be 97 degrees tomorrow, I think.
Yes.
That one's going to be at 9 a.m. So we'll see. And again, anyone that wants to show, great. I'm happy to have a conversation with one or a million folks. And I can also, do it just me, which is not as interesting, but maybe they'll learn their lesson when they watch this and they're like, all right, next time I'm just going to show up.
Yeah.
But
It's
all right.
fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's not terrible. Not the worst 20 minutes you ever spent in your life,
No.
right? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I hope to see you all again soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.